Rafi's Rambles, Rafi's Rambles, Rafi's Rambles.
Hola, you amazing artist, and welcome to the studio. So today I want to talk about why it is that October and November suck for Clea and I when it comes to being an artist.
We're ready to talk about the October crazy?
The reason I'm recording this video is that I know that a lot of you guys out there have certain months of the year that you're like, this sucks, everything sucks, I want to give up. There's always going to be some kind of pattern that you have developed over the years that causes you to reevaluate why it is that you're doing this art career thing. And honestly, you have to get your head on right, because if not, it's gonna destroy your career. Before I get into this, I want to preface the fact that it's not just that October and November are bad for artists. There's a lot more involved there that I'm going to get into in this video that I want you to evaluate. And what I'm hoping is that by the end of this video, you'll be able to identify oh crap, okay, these months, these are bad. I did this.
In October, the veil between realms is at its thinnest, and so we're all susceptible to energies. Not unlike solar flares. So what can you do about that? Not much. There's not really that much that you could do about that.
Well, that's not very helpful. Just so you guys know, election years are a different animal. October and the months leading to the election can be kind of crap for us because people are holding on to their money to see what happens. But I don't want to talk about that stuff. So here's the story of why October and November historically suck for Clea and I. So I want to say that this started about 7 or 8 years ago when Clea and I were a few years into our art career. October came around and we kept thinking October is fun. You know, you got Halloween in October and there's different things like that. But sales slowed down for us. So we took October as the month where we were going to start new things. For example, we bought a new house in October. We launched our Patreon in October. We started doing workshops and courses one of those Octobers. Every October there was something that I did. Historically, I've released books in October. Everything seems to always fall in October. I think it started because October was slow. So when things get slow, we tend to gear up and do something in order to bring in some new income. As it turns out, over the years, those new things all fall in the month of October.
Sometimes finances can be a little sketchy in September. And so then October rolls around and you're like, what am I gonna do?
We pay for things yearly so that we can save money, and it all happens in October. The website subscription, we have all the plugins that we've ever gotten. Every yearly subscription hits in October.
Yeah, actually, you know what's hilarious? It's actually April and October.
Right.
It's amazing. Car insurance is due in April and October. Why is our car insurance due in April and October? Whose idea was this? Or is that everybody? Is everyone's car insurance due in April?
I don't think so. I think because it's all of our personal stuff and our business stuff. Everything hits, which causes an Ouroboros of bullshit where then we are looking at our finances and thinking we need to do a new thing. Ugh. This year in particular, we decided to take a trip to Illinois. I am in the process of releasing a book, recording audiobooks. I have a large-scale mural that I'm working on. I'm designing the calendars that are supposed to release at the end of this month. We're helping head a new makerspace in the area. And on top of that, we're getting ready to launch our lectures and workshops and master classes and things like that on our websites for artists. So yeah, and all of that seems to hit in October. And all of this is taking place in our beautiful, relaxing, cozy home that becomes less relaxing during this time of year. Now, I know a lot of you guys are listening to this and thinking well, all that stuff sounds great, Rafi. You're doing a lot. Sure, in theory, that sounds great, except there are so many things going on that I don't know where I am.
The cardinal rules of commerce, or the sacred commandments of commerce, if you will. Thou shalt maximize thy profits in the fourth quarter. And October marks the beginning of the fourth quarter. So we start to think about the holidays, and we start to think about the monies, and we start to think about what we're gonna do, and we come up with ideas to generate those profits in the fourth quarter. That leads into another cardinal rule of commerce, sacred commandment of commerce, if you will, which is thou hast to spend that money to make that money. So we buy all this stuff. We buy the raffle plugin. We buy the pre-order plugin.
We buy the equipment.
We buy the equipment. We buy all the packaging materials. We build the website so that they will come.
I would say that the biggest obstacle that I go through during this time is the insecurities that pop up, where I'm doing all this stuff and immediately all I can think of is like, why am I not rich? I should be, like, I'm doing all this stuff. Like, I should be rolling in dough right now. I got this jury summons that's coming up, trying to get the paperwork ready for the art show, and the kids are moving out today and haven't given me much information as far as what's going to happen. So it's like one of those days where it's like everything is up in the air, and I don't know. It's just, you know, we got contacted by the Arts Council about it. It just feels like everything is on my shoulders right now. Can I afford to buy these paint supplies? Because who knows where we're going to be next month or the month after or next year. Your brain just explodes trying to figure out your finances for like the coming year. Every October, something amplifies in our brain. Neural connections get made that say, hey, you need to look at the world in this perspective.
Thou shalt maximize profits in the fourth quarter. Sure. That's historically been how it is. Do you have to do it that way? Nay.
I feel like that's like a societal subliminal thing that goes out there. There's got to be like some antenna that like just like transmits this into our brains.
Well, it's also crema.
Crema.
At crema time.
Crema time.
So, you know, historically businesses would do all the sales. So it's just ingrained in our minds that like, that's the time. This is the time. And there's a little bit of that in the springtime too, coming out of the winter, going into April and the April craziness where it's like, we gotta do all this stuff.
Honestly, I came to a head with this whole thing this morning when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do for the day. Am I going to work on the calendars, or am I working on the mural thing because I have a meeting this week? Or am I going to CVS to get the prescription for my doctor's appointment later on this week? Or am I getting the budget together for the makerspace for my meeting this week? Or am I recording an audiobook for the release for it? Or am I checking the 1,000 emails that I have in my inbox? As you can see right now, I'm not doing any of those things, right? Because that's the problem. It's not the things that you're doing, it's the fact that you put yourself in a situation where you've just got too many things to juggle, and honestly, you're not decisive enough. You don't decide what it is that you want to do in that moment.
You could stop and evaluate, like, do I follow this business model? If so, why? Do I need to follow this business model? And if I'm going to follow this business model, how am I going to make that easier on myself with planning? Now, this is retroactive thinking here, because we already have all this stuff renewing in October.
Yeah.
If you know you're going to need certain things, maybe try to budget it out throughout the year. Because, like, I think about it, I'm like, also our balance transfer bonus APRs expire in October. That's no coincidence either, right? As you said, October is that magical time where we're super busy and poor.
Yeah. Essentially, this morning, the sky was falling in on me as like my thoughts just went to all these different places. I was in limbo and felt stuck. That's where I had my aha moment after sitting down and saying, you know what, let me clear my head for a few minutes and really, really allow myself to not think about anything. What I realized was that it wasn't the things that I was doing, right? It's not the calendars being released or the audiobooks or the mural that I'm working on. A lot of this stuff, like, it's not really a big deal. It is all the insecurity that's underneath it. And really all the insecurity kind of comes up against that whole financial lack mentality that comes up. What I realized was the month of October and November, historically, we have always been worried about money. So we end up stressing out about things, getting burned out. Historically, it's after the month of October that I've ever gotten burned out with anything, whether it's YouTube or doing art or doing anything.
Maybe you could be a little more self-aware and checking in with yourself to make sure that what you're about to do or not do is actually in line with yourself.
So be aware of the crazy that's going on inside of you.
Be aware of the crazy.
Yeah, that's good. And so it dawned on me that, like, it's not the things that I'm doing. I'm always busy. I'm always working on some kind of creative project or something out there. It is that dark cloud that is hovering over me. I get stuck in this weird place where I'm not doing the things that I need to do, but I feel that I should be doing the things that I need to do, and I'm not enjoying the things that I need to do, and it's an Ouroboros of bullshit. That's what it is. Then after having that realization this morning, I realized, wait a second, the element that's missing in all the things that I do is fun. I feel like you got to be strategic about how you do this, the money in, money out thing.
Mm-hmm. But if you're not or you haven't been, then you're riding the wave like we are. And that, I think, is my final thing, is the reason there's a little bit of crazy in October is because it's exciting. I don't know about you guys, but I get really excited in October. It becomes sweater weather. It's beautiful outside, at least where we live now. It's very beautiful outside. There's a lot of like good weather for doing shows and festivals and events and different things. And we start to get excited about the fall and winter seasons. So we want to do a lot of stuff in October because we're all jazzed up about it.
And giving myself a healthy dose of saying, you know what, it could wait.
So my solution for this, and I'm not saying that I've successfully implemented this, but in theory, my solution for this is to set yourself up with like special projects in August and September, and even over the summer, like during those slower months, so you're not like losing your shirt when October rolls around.
There are things that you can kind of say like, all right, this is what's going to get my attention now, and that's okay as long as I'm having fun doing what I'm doing. Stop turning it into a stressful thing.
It's okay to be excited and maybe lean a little more into the excitement and lean a little less into the stress if possible. It really is a great time.
That's the biggest part of it is like, you know, you're going to be doing stuff anyway. And if you are stressed out, you're the one causing the stress. Oh, it's the finances. Oh, it's this. It's easy to like blame other things, situation, or people for it. But at the end of the day, like if you're feeling stressed out about anything, you're the one that's causing the stress for yourself. And that's the realization that I had of like, oh, I don't need to be stressed out about this. Sure, I'm busy, but like I could be having fun and plan for maybe, spacing it out.
Plan for better planning.
Plan for better planning. Listen, I know this is a weird video. Like, we're getting into territory here that's like airy-fairy, but really at the end of the day, your brain is this weird calculating system, and you got to look at patterns. If you notice that there are certain months of the year where like emotionally you become inept at doing what it is that you want to do, then I suggest looking at the pattern and seeing when did that pattern start.
Because there's a lot of hustle and bustle and excitement and festiveness in the fourth quarter, if you find yourself getting stretched too thin, definitely check yourself as far as like whose agendas and obligations have you signed yourself up for? Because I don't know, a lot of people want the people to do a lot of things.
Everybody reaches out during this time of year.
There's a lot to do this time of year, and that's amazing. So also check yourself that you're not overcommitting.
So the moral of the story is don't do a bunch of shit in 1 month every year, because then all that stuff, You don't buy all the plugins and websites and things like that because you're like, yeah, we could do this. And then realize that, a year later, like, oh, I got to pay the renewals for all these things all at once. And underneath that is the emotional stuff of like, which ones are the months where you are starting to panic and freak out a little bit when it comes to finances, and take a look at your behaviors, because your behaviors might be enabling the situation. Mm-hmm.
We always say that we're going to plan for better planning in January, which we do. We do.
Kind of. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Usually in January, we're like picking up the pieces from the whole October, November, December thing.
That's true.
So for you, if you're like Clea and I, and you're going through something like this, I recommend that you take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just clear your thoughts, clear your mind. Take a look at what your feelings are. What are the underlying things? Usually your brain loves popping them up as you're trying to clear your mind, and take a look at it. If it has anything to do with finances and stuff, then you might have to like reel yourself back to a place where you're okay and your motives are not driven by thinking that if I do this thing, then things will work out financially, because it just causes a nightmare, and it compounds every year, just stacks on top. And then next thing you know, the month of October and November are coming around and you're like, oh, fark.
It's also supposed to be a time to celebrate with friends and family.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that that can get lost in the shuffle of gotta do, gotta do, gotta do. And a friend of ours recently reminded us that spending the time with the people that you care about is also very important.
So that's it, you guys. That's just wanted to share like where my mind was, and that's where my brain is, and hopefully you got something out of that. We have a busy couple months here coming up, and usually during the holidays we do a holiday sale and things like that. So we're trying to prep for everything. I didn't even mention the holiday sale. So yeah, like we're trying to prep for everything and reevaluate where we're at. And why, maybe reeling back a little bit from all this stuff. But I wanted to make an announcement on our website at rafiandklee.com. There is a For Creatives tab, and in that For Creatives tab, you have access to all our videos and podcasts and all that stuff. But also there's downloads and resources, and you're able to download the first chapter of my book that is going out. I think there's only 2 copies left for pre-order. So if you don't get a copy of the pre-order, then at least you could download that first chapter and check it out. And there's a lot of great information in there. And I want to give a big shout out to the Rogues. The Rogues have been supporting this channel and everything that we put out there for creatives. And I want to thank them for being a part of our community and really supporting these videos and supporting all the content that we put out there for creatives. They're the reason that we're able to do these things, because if not, we just, we'd be too busy doing other things. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are absolutely freaking amazing. I totally adore you. We're getting to the end of the video. You want to say goodbye, Klee?
Good day.
And if you're watching us for the first time and you like this and you want to subscribe, go ahead and click right over here to subscribe. And other than that, oh yes, this is a new pair of glasses. That's right. I'm sure some of you have that question. New pair of glasses. And this is my Rafi hat. Check this out. It says the Rogue Artist on the back. Yeah, I'm still wearing my bandana under here, though. So, yeah, it's still me. I'm still here. All right. Other than that, I love you guys. Adios.